Welcome to your 12 sign readings for your sun, moon, and rising for Mercury Retrograde in Pisces transit that we're currently in right now. I filmed the video for this. I talked about what it means, what Mercury in Pisces means way back at February 20th. So I have that video in the Best of Google podcast. You're going to want to check that out if you're watching this one, because that will give you all the info on what this all means, what the transit means, so you can understand what the transit is about and the themes that I discuss in that video, particularly Pisces energy versus Virgo energy. I talk a lot about that on that video. So now what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be breaking it down through your sun, moon, and rising sign, and how you individually can evolve through this and what you can gain based off of your sign, based off of the qualities of your sign, and what you're doing it. Like, I wish that more astrologers did this. Like, if they just did horoscopes based off of taking your sign and looking at this transit and how is you as a sign with your qualities can benefit from it or grow from it, not superficial things which may not have anything to do with the sign itself. Like it has, the 8th house, this transit happening in the 8th house. Like, what does that have to do with Aries? Or what does that have to do with Gemini? Zero. And that's another thing that I want to mention, about that kind of thing. It's like it doesn't express any qualities of that sign. I'm going to flip that around. And I kind of want to be a trendsetter for horoscopes. And I do really want these horoscope videos to become very, very popular and a lot of people to watch them because they are hopefully going to be very, very meaningful to you to watch and not, like the others. So I just wanted to say that, and I will say that until it just doesn't feel worth it to say it anymore. So let us start with Aries. You're going to want to listen to your sun, moon, and rising signs, particularly your sun and rising sign. Anything beyond these 3 signs is not appropriate for this kind of video. That is where you need to have a consultation with an astrologer. And and do all of that. This is for YouTube. That there are 2 different things. So this is only for these 3. The trinity of astrology, which is sun, moon, rising. So you're going to want to know your sun, your moon, your rising. If you do not know, you can always. I will put a link below to astro.com so that you can put in your birth information so that you can know what these things are, especially your rising sign, because you need to calculate the time for that. And so, yeah. So that is what I will say about that. But so getting into Aries, or if I do not put a link, because I may or may not put a link, if there is a link down in the description below, then you can click on that. But if not, then just go to astro.com and click on, the whole instructions. There's actually a video for it. Well, yeah. I think it'll be easier without me having to explain to you by putting that that link, and hopefully it works. Yeah. Well, here's what I'll do. A lady that I follow who does oracle and tarot cards, or tarot, oracle readings, doesn't do the weeklies anymore, now does the monthlies, made a whole video about how to calculate your birth information through astro.com. So I'll link that down below so that you can see instructions of how to do that. I think sometimes I'll, do that. I don't know. I think I have a video about that on my old channel, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get into that. So, sun, moon, rising. Let's get into it. let's start with Aries. So the very, very first thing is this transit is going to really, really help you to get out of the ego part of your brain, the part of you that just wants all these things very, very impulsively and very rationally and kind of in an immature way. Like Aries is a sign that, like I want this food, or I want this, this person, or I want this, to own this thing, all these types of quests that it wants to go on, but it's so caught up in its ego, what it wants. From the ego perspective, from the lower vibration perspective of ego, me, need, selfishness, to connecting with your soul and intuition. Following your soul and intuition is not selfish. So that's what they need to lean into this life, and particularly during this transit, is leaning into what your intuition is trying to tell you, what your soul is trying to guide you towards on the path of greatness and greatness and destiny. Leaning towards that is very, very important. Connecting more with your inner sense and your soul. Now, to become more in touch with your identity, not so, this is a time for Aries not to be so external. And I can take this as advice for myself. Because Aries is about pushing forward and moving forward and, going and making things happen out in the outside world. This is a time to relax. Okay, this is a time to reflect. And this is a time to slow everything down and make mindfulness a practice. Like, live every moment mindfully. Like, be present to the moment. Consider meditation. Consider all these mindfulness things that you can do to get you more in touch with your soul self, to with that part of you that is very peaceful. You want to lean into your deeper feelings, this transit, your deeper emotions, instead of what's going on in the ego. Because what's going on in the ego is very, me, I, me first, in a way that is not selfish. Like, when you follow your intuition and your soul, that is the opposite of selfish. When you're living in your ego, that is selfish. I want to make that very, very clear right there, because the ego is very limiting and it can hold you back from expressing your soul. So you can put those in categories of what isn't selfish. And I think that's very, very important to make that distinction here. So leaning into your deeper feelings of what's going on. The other thing is, you want to move forward. It's good for not getting caught in the past and moving forward, progressing forward. But you're also looking back. Like, sometimes, in order to move forward, we have to look back. So to help us move forward, we look at, okay, this is the past. These are the things that I've experienced. These are the things that I've learned. And I'm not going to, dwell on it, but I'm going to consider this and see what I can do in the future that is different than this, based off of this past thing that I'm looking back on. Taurus. Now, Taurus is a very sensory-oriented sign, very, very connected to the body and to the earth. So, it can blend the spirituality in with this. Taurus can say, what are the spiritual aspects of life, the spiritual practices where you can engage in your senses? One of the things is walking out in nature. It's just an example. Like, you're walking, you're getting out of nature, you're breathing fresh air, you're seeing the sights around you, you're being present. Taurus is about being present. That's a practice, getting out of nature. So blending the spiritual with the material. Now, this transit is also about dreams. And so what kind of dreams are you having? Maybe they're very sensual dreams. It's kind of, stereotyping Taurus, but let's just say they are sensual dreams. Like, let's just say they are like you're being in a field, for example, with flowers, but you're being eaten by the flowers. Because Pisces, this transit is about getting caught in your dreams and in the, in the illusions and then the dark side of dreams. And so you learn to be careful of flowers because you don't want to be eaten by them. Now, another big thing is becoming very, very discerning about what foods you put in your body. Because that affects your health and your well-being. So when you put good, healthy, nutritious foods that you can really enjoy, not indulging in like cake or whatever, overdoing it, because Taurus can be very sensual and indulge. Choose foods that make your mouth water, that you just love, that they're so delicious to you, because Taurus is sensual. Don't make yourself eat something that you just don't like or you're doing because, I have to be healthy. Like, we have to get past, I'm eating this because I don't like this, but I have to do it because I'm trying to be healthy. Like, no. Find foods that you do enjoy that are healthy, and don't be afraid to try new things. And sometimes you try something and you don't like it, but at least you know that you tried. Like, and Taurus can suffer from that because it's like, I want to stick to the same things that I'm used to, but you tried those things that you know that you like. So why not expand out of that more? So I just don't see the point of staying stuck in a comfort zone with food in that way. But choosing to eat foods that are nutritious to the body and delicious. So some things you can touch, taste, and feel that are material. Other things you cannot. This transit is really, really good to connect you out of being so stuck in the possessions and stuck in the things that I have and all this, and float up to the spiritual realms. Like, can help you enjoy the more simple pleasures of life, like Pisces is not so material, like the beautiful, look of nature, or the the birds flying in the sky, or the sun shining through your window, like these essential things that are beyond material wealth and material comfort, like a house, a chair, whatever. So this can help you be open to the things that are non-material, so that you can engage in those material aspects of life. In a way, those essential aspects of life, I should say. Okay. The other thing is that, you're very, very grounded as a sign, so it's a great time to find things to ground yourself with. Okay, Gemini. This is going to be a really significant transit for you in the sense that Gemini is so connected in their heads. Like, so, like, thinking and ideas, and so in the mind. Like, like their mind is scattered and going in a million directions. Breathe. Connect to your body, mindfulness, do all these things, very, very well. Gemini needs to get grounded so that it cannot be so scattered, so that it cannot just float from one interest to another. And say, when you're grounded, I think that what happens that when you're grounded, you become more aligned with your values, you become more aligned with, this is what I am interested in most, and this is what I would really like to invest my mental time and energy in. So I think that when you ground into your body, you become less scattered and you become more grounded. Like Gemini at the high rate is very, very just open-minded curiosity without any bias, just open-minded, but you can do it in a grounded way. Like, you can be open-minded in a grounded fashion. Okay. And so all the stimulus, all the noise, all the the chats and the people that you're engaged with and the things that you're reading and the things that you're watching, all that noise, all that stimulus, integrate and bring in the spirituality aspect of life, like the calming down, the mindfulness, the being present. Connect with, not so tied into the logical mind, but connecting to the divine, connecting to your higher self, connecting to your higher power in a way where you are tapped into that. And also, it's a good time to connect with your emotions more, getting out of your head, connecting with what your feelings say. You can learn a lot from Cancer, the next sign over, to help you with that. And Gemini can just talk so much. So much about this thing, about that thing. One of the lessons, especially if you have like Mercury in Gemini or a lot of, Gemini placements, this is the time to, well, this is for rising sign, but I'm allowed to say these things, okay? I said it for rising sun and moon, but I'm allowed to say whatever I wish to say in these videos, even if it shouldn't make sense, okay? So what I want to say is that if you do have Gemini, Mercury, in your chart or whatever, this is an energy where you can use this to stop, talking, getting off on this thing, getting off on that thing, and get to the point. Like, this is what I want to say, this is what I wanted to express. I'm not getting so distracted by all the thoughts that you're having. Like, Gemini, can have all these thoughts that it can talk so fast, it's hard to get them out. Like, I'm so glad that I have Mercury in Taurus, because it helps me ground my thoughts. It gives me a limit as to the thoughts that I can think to say. It makes me more easy to get to the point. Like, Gemini needs to learn about healthy limitations to their speech. And thank goodness I have the Gemini energy in there, but I have the Mercury in Taurus to limit me and, give that, because Gemini needs to learn about the value of limitations, not cutting off the variety, because Gemini needs variety, but understanding where you're getting so scattered and getting so, frustrated that you're ungrounded. Limitations. Coming back home to that. Okay, Cancer. Now, this is great. You're very, very intuitive. You're very, very tapped into your intuition, so this is great for utilizing that. This is also great for you to nurture others, because Cancer is very much about nurturing, about taking care of others in ways that are compassionate towards others. But the downside is, sometimes with being so emotional and so caught up in the feelings, you can get too caught up in the emotions. Like, Pisces energy, this Mercury retrograde in Pisces is going to have you looking at, where am I getting too caught up in the non-logic and deluded and sucked into the emotions. So getting too caught up in the emotional mess and all that, I think a meditation that I would recommend for Cancer South Node and a lot of people with Cancer energy is Flying Your Bird by Colette Baron Reid. It's a meditation where you sit and you you're in a place that you don't like, that really is sucking your energy, that's very, very negative, and you have negative emotions around. Imagine you're getting on a bird and you fly into the sky, and you're looking at it from a distance. You're gaining perspective of it, like you're not attached to the emotions anymore. So I recommend that meditation for Cancers at this time. So getting caught up in the emotions of that can be a very, very negative thing. And not getting caught up in the past. Also, Cancer is incredibly nostalgic, getting caught in the memories, the past memories, whatever the memory is. Getting caught up in all these all these past reminiscences, that you're so stuck in the ghostlands of the past, and then you're not focused on the here and now, and you're not focused on making forgetting to live, dwelling on like, it's okay to look back at the past, but don't dwell on it to the point where you forget to live in the now. So it's a common theme with the placements I've covered so far, being in the now. That's being mindful. This is the theme that come across with all these signs. Leo. This is a good time because Leo is so connected to the heart. It's a heart energy. It's a heart-based energy. It's tied into the heart. In medical astrology, Leo is ruled by the heart. So connecting with your heart, heart-based meditations, connecting with the heart chakra, tapping into your heart's energy can be great at this time for you. Also, showing the love of interconnectedness. Leo gives expressively from its heart. You can really use this energy to be loving to everyone and give from your heart. Show from your heart how much you care about this person and being compassionate with these people. That is in a meaningful way because you really mean it. Not because, oh, you have to do it because you've said this person that you would do it, or you want the validation for doing it, but because you authentically want to be kind and compassionate with this person. That's the best Leo energy. The downside is, oh, I'm being kind because, what are you going to think of me? And I want to, look very, very good, and I want to make a good impression on you, and I don't want to be made to look bad. But at the best, it's authentic energy. Like, I'm giving because I genuinely feel in my heart that I want to give. So, another thing that's very, very good for is being creative. Leo is incredibly creative. Incredibly can tap into that creative energy. It's the inner child, and that's one of the things that is wonderful about Leo energy. Like, I don't like the self-conscious and the validation part of Leo. But I do really like a lot of the attributes of the Leo zodiac sign. It does have a lot of wonderful attributes to it that make it unique and that are important for us to kind of live our lives in consideration of those things. So, so creativity, being very, very just creative in whatever way that you define it. And then the other thing is not getting so caught up in the fantasy of being on stage, or being a hero, being a leader, being on TV, whatever these fantasies are that you have, like being on a cooking show, or being on a Great Britain's Got Talent, or whatever it is. All these fantasies that you have in your mind about what you want to become. But stay grounded. Like, what can you do in the now? Focus on in the now rather than getting caught up in your head. Okay, Virgo. Now, really, really big thing with Virgo, and there's actually a song based off of Virgo. And the song is Fear, False Evidence Appearing Real. Like, Virgo can get caught up in their fear, and fear is irrational. It has no basis on the logic, like there's OCD fear, that's not based on rational logic. There's all this kind of fear going on with you, and you can get consumed by the fear, by the anxiety. And this is about a time to detach and step away from that and rise above the fray and not get so caught up in all this fear that you may be feeling. And find solace, find comfort in what you can, that like a safe place that you can stay where it doesn't make you feel so afraid. Virgo can so caught up in the health practices and maintaining your body and working out and eating the right supplements, and so ungrounded in the mind that it can really, really benefit from spiritual practices. Spiritual practices like yogas, exercise, or meditation. So really doubling down on your spiritual practice and prioritizing your spiritual soul health. Pisces, balancing out with Virgo at this time, very important. Now, letting go of boundaries. Well, Virgo is very, very good at, letting go of boundaries. Okay, so I misread that. I misread that, what I was reading here. So, letting go of boundaries. Because Virgo is so rigid with its boundaries. It's, Earth is separation. Fire is separation. I would classify it as that. And so Virgo is about like having these rigid structures and being like you are so tied into your own health and kind of sucked into yourself in that kind of way with your own health. Because Virgo is about boundaries, and you can really let go of the boundary. And some things cannot be understood by logic alone, because Virgo is so caught up in the logical mind and all of that. However, it can get out of the logical mind by tapping into its emotions and tapping into its intuition. Moving on to Libra. Now, Libra is such an intellectual sign with how it connects to others. This is its quality. Being very, very intellectual, connecting on a mental, air-like level. What this can actually bring you is connecting in spiritual ways with others. Like, connecting in a kind of spiritual kind of fashion with others, where you're tapped into your heart, you're tapped into your soul, and doing all these things. Libra is very, very good with beauty. Like, it just can find beauty in the darkest places. Like, you can find all this beauty, and it's so into like art and music and painting and all this beauty, because Libra is beauty and it's ruled by Venus. So it's a good time to enhance your beauty skills, or surround yourself with beauty. Beautify your surroundings is wonderful for that. Another thing is, you can really, really feel scattered at this time if you're so caught up in all of these options to make, all of these decisions that you have to make, like all the choices that come about. This is a time where you can say to yourself, I am going to be more decisive and get things in order in my mind, and maybe eliminate some of the unnecessary options. So maybe they don't feel true for you. So this could also be, Libra is very, very poetic, very, very creative. So speaking and expressing yourself in very, very artistic ways, like through communication and, poetry, is wonderful for that. Scorpio. Scorpio can really use this time because it is a fellow water sign to Pisces. So you can really become more spiritual and intuitive during this time. That's a benefit of Scorpio, is becoming more spiritual and intuitive. Really, bringing that into into your day and into your routine, and bringing that into your life more with a spiritual and intuitive, because that's the strength of Scorpio. Now, another thing is, it's a good time to confront your shadows and demons. Any kind of shadow and demon that you have inside of you, any kind of dark material that you have, Pisces is going to bring that out. And ask you to really look at these things very, very critically, and come face to face with your shadows and your demons. Because during Mercury Retrograde, we are reflecting and we're going into the unconscious. It's like we're we're experiencing sleep. When Mercury goes retrograde, it's like we're diving into our unconscious. We're metacognitive when Mercury is retrograde. And so Pisces is the disillusions of self. So you're tapping into these hidden shadows and demons that you have repressed within yourself, and coming face to face with these things. Also tapping into your deep emotions, tapping into all these deep feelings that you have, really coming in terms with that. Not being so intense in relationships also. Because Scorpio can be just so, just so very, like attached and possessive to his partner. Like, I own you, and I, want to. I'm very, very strong, and I want to claim you as, mine, and really, really try to keep the partner in a net and in a trap because of how intensely you love. It can also be like mean. It can also be like, not liberating to the partner, and they can feel suffocated as a result. So having a softening up, like one of the things about Taurus energy is it's a gentle sign. It's gentle. It's light. It's in the springtime. Like, things are light and gentle in the spring. Things are heavy and cold in the fall. So you want to be gentle with others and graceful in relationships. Like choosing to be more gentle in your relationships. It can really help you go a long way. Sagittarius. You can really use this transit to look into your soul. look at your soul, because Sagittarius is very, very connected with its soul, and what it wants, for its own goals and its ambitions, to becoming very, very tapped into what your soul wants. What your soul is craving for, what direction you want to go in life. Maybe you would dream of all the quests that you could go on. Like, you have all these dreams, like, I want to go to Italy, or I want to, do all these things, like get a chart, or plant a field, or build a mansion, like all these grand visions and dreams, that you may become more aware of all these dreams that you have, as in when you go to sleep, and the dreams in your head, the fantasies in your head about all these things that you want to actually go after. So it's a reflective time. It's not a move forward time for fire signs. The Mercury Retrograde, we are talking about internal, like we're going internal. It's not a move forward kind of time. So dreaming of all the quests you could go on. And then it's good to really, really prioritize what are the goals that I really, really want to focus on. What are my most important goals? What are my top values, and what are my most important goals? Really, really getting prioritized with that, and focusing on the goals that mean the most to you. And not letting fear hold you back. Because Sagittarius is a fearless sign. If you're adventuring and if you're traveling, you're facing a lot of your fears. Like, you're willing to face your fears to where when you face them, you don't have the fear anymore. So you need to be, obviously, if you're traveling and you're adventuring and you're taking all these risks like Sagittarius does, then you would not let fear hold you back, because maybe you would feel the fear but do it anyway. Like, that's very, very Sagittarian, to feel fear and do it anyway. Now, Capricorn. Capricorn can be a workaholic. This is not the time to work all the time, sitting at the desk with this paper, sitting at the job and doing all this, and sitting at the government seat and doing all the papers and the taxes and with the officials and all the, all that. Is the time to focus on self-care, prioritizing self-care for yourself. So whatever that looks like for you, there's many, many ways how, you know yourself. However you define self-care for yourself, now's the time to prioritize that and add that include to your daily routine. Include that in your daily routine, and take a break from the work. Well, you have to say, I'm stopping the phone from calling and all the business calls. I'm stopping the people who are expecting me to show up at this party or this gathering or this event or this meeting. And I'm choosing to take some time and focus on nurturing myself. Like, it is okay if you disappoint the people that are expecting you to do it. They will understand, most likely, when you explain to them. If they don't, well, then that's their issue, not yours. It's their projection, not yours. So you will be better, and you will show up in a better way and provide what you have to provide if you take care of yourself. If you prioritize your own well-being. Another thing is, making time for creativity as well, getting off of the work and, including creativity, just like self-care. So this is a time where, if you're so concerned with the logical mind and being very, very practical, because Capricorn is incredibly practical, now's the time to lean into the more intuitive, emotional side of things, like becoming, really, really tapped into your feelings. Like, what do I want in a feeling level? What am I feeling, and what direction should I go in based off of my emotions? Not necessarily your head. Not being afraid to stop working and go into reflective period. Like the message for Capricorn is to stop the work, stop the busy obligations, and spend some time for yourself. Self-care, go into reflection, meditate, go into the woods or, whatever, go to a pool or, go in the backyard or, whatever. Get yourself into a place that is reflective into a place that is, quiet with solitude, because that can really help you a lot at this time. Aquarius. So any fear that you have around what others are going to think of you, what others are going to expect you to do and expect you to show up as, because you're afraid of disappointing people, can also come up where you can't face that fear. And so, also, Aquarius is a fixed sign. And Aquarius is open-minded, but, for example, my mom was working with an Aquarius, and he was stubborn as a mule. That's the right, stubborn as a bull, stubborn as a mule, I don't know. But Aquarius is very, very stubborn. I would say Taurus is the most stubborn, but Aquarius is pretty stubborn in the sense that it stays true to its principles. These are my beliefs. These are my ideals. This is, this is what I want. I'm sticking to this, and I'm not bending these things. So you can actually use this to stay true to what you believe. Staying true, you're naturally curious, but staying true to these principles and really, really getting in touch with your strong principles. Like, what do I believe? What do I want to hold on to? And also tapping into the emotional connectivity instead of intellectual connectivity, because to the all, I should say, to the all. Because Aquarius is about, has compassion on a mental level for the collective. It cares about humanity as a whole, but not necessarily human individuals. It doesn't tap into the emotions and the compassion of human beings as individuals. It doesn't tap into the more empathetic and emotional side of humanity. So connecting more with the emotional side, being your humanitarian self, with your, being very, focused on the collective, but doing it in a more way where you're tapped into the emotional side of it, can be your doorway to success this time. And Pisces comes after Aquarius, so that's where kind of Pisces fixes Aquarius issue. We're so evolved at this point, yet we still have the issue of, we're so in love with humanity, yes, but it's so intellectual. Let's add emotions to that. To really feel compassion for people, really feel empathy for people. So Pisces, this is great for creativity. Anything related to creativity, intuition, dreams, all these three areas of Pisces, because I talked about this, this is in your sign, so it's really, really huge for you, so you can really use this to your advantage with that. You can also get so caught up in your head with all the fantasies and all the illusions going on, and all the dreams and all the things that are not realistic, that you lose touch with reality, that you become ungrounded with reality. So you can really look at, where am I reviewing, because it's happening in your sign, Mercury Retrograde, how am I becoming too caught up in the mind and my fantasies and not getting grounded. So maintaining groundedness is really, really important for Pisces. And look at how escapism is working out for you. One of the things I said in the Mercury and Pisces video is to actually schedule the escapism and say, I'm going to escape for this amount of time, and then I'm going to come back down to earth. So looking at your escapism, and getting too much of a bad thing, too much of one thing is not a good thing. So where are you over-fantasizing, over-escaping, getting out of that? The final thing is understanding the importance of boundaries. Virgo is the opposite, where it's about understanding that you need to kind of bend the boundaries, but with Pisces, it's boundless. So Virgo and Pisces are so incredibly opposite in this sense, where Pisces can learn from Virgo about the importance of healthy boundaries, where, to know where you end and where others begin, to know where, because you could get so sucked into their emotions, to their energy, to their vibration, but you get drowned in that and lose your sense of self, lose your sense of footing. So knowing your boundaries, huge for Pisces during this whole Mercury retrograde, at least the rest of it when I'm filming this video. So Tune in for tomorrow's, that's all that I have to say on the 12 signs, Mercury retrograde in Pisces on the all 12 signs. Tune in for tomorrow's video on Jupiter direct in Cancer, for the collective and also for the 12 signs coming up tomorrow, which will be the transit for the week of March the 8th. March the 8th, Sunday, March the 8th. So, anyway, the weekly astrology video will be coming out tomorrow. And anyway, bye for now.